I'd like to tell you about the elephants at Elephants World. The owner, Dr. Zermatt, had to return half the elephants to their former homes at the beginning of the pandemic, and let almost all of his staff and mahouts go. The sanctuary went through some very hard times, not just the elephants, but the mahouts and the owner too. Now, about our friend Glahan. My wife and I met Glahan at Elephants World 13 years ago. Glahan was the head mahout. He cared for the elephants very well and made sure everyone treated them with kindness. All got well fed. Glahan's family lived at Elephants World in a lovely bamboo house. His sons Soang and Che were our daughter Emily's best friends. The idea to build a house for Glahan as a gift started at the beginning of the pandemic when he lost his home at Elephants World. Almost everyone lost their jobs at that time as the elephants had no visitors. I like designing houses, so made an architect's plan for Glahan, something that would help him get planning permission and not be too difficult to build. There's a builder in Glahan's village. He's called Somchai. He was without work due to the pandemic, so he was happy indeed to work on Glahan's house, so we employed him. Soon after the roof was built, the village went into lockdown and the builder's yard was forced to close, so Glahan had to camp with his wife and 2 sons under the roof. They tried to make walls with bamboo, but they leaked badly during storms. Glahan's house is surrounded by mountains and wild nature. You have to drive far out of the village to get a phone signal or the internet. And the villagers have a unique way of sending and receiving mail and parcels. Each time we visit Glahan's family, we stop in the town of Kanchanaburi. It's famous for the bridge on the River Kwai. The best time to visit the bridge is at daybreak. We love Thailand's old trains. This is the famous Death Valley Railway, one of the most spectacular train journeys in the world. In this case is a digital piano. Its journey began on the opposite side of the world. The piano's owner, Daniel Bleed, a musician from the United States, had brought it along with him on the plane to practice during his stay in Bangkok. Before he left, he contacted me and asked if I could suggest a school or a person in need of a piano as a gift. By coincidence, the keyboard at the church in Glahan's village had just broken and they couldn't afford a new one. So I suggested we donate the piano to the church, and just at the end of Daniel's stay in Thailand, he brought it over to our home. The Karen people in Glahan's village are mostly refugees from Burma. They are Christian and music is very important in their Sunday church service. Daniel's piano was warmly received and the broken keyboard passed gently into retirement. Daniel's piano ended its journey from America in the tropical mountains of Thailand and started a new life at the heart of the village. My wife Kwan is a wildlife artist. From time to time she sells her sculptures. These elephants were carefully packed and sent off on a journey across the world from Thailand to Sweden. The timing of the commission was perfect. When travel became possible again, the builder's yard opened and we continued building Glahan's house. On our next trip over, we brought with us our builder friend Chin from Bangkok.
ครับไปทำบ้านกาญจนบุรี
ไปกาญจนบุรี
Somchai had been hard at work and we saw the house had progressed a lot from our previous trip. Finally, Glahan's family had a dry place to shelter during the intense tropical rainstorms. This will be the kitchen and this room for their sons. It was time to make a shopping trip to Home Depot in Kanchanaburi, an hour's drive or so from Glahan's village. Chin carefully calculated the things we needed to buy next. We took some of Glahan's neighbours along too, as some of them had never been outside their village before and were curious to know what a town looked like. So for them, it was a big outing. The builder's yard was very helpful and delivered everything we bought, even though Glahan's village was very far away from them in the mountains. We cemented the walls and made them smooth. And Chin wired the house. Emily learned how to mix cement and that you need to wet the walls to make it stick. It was a lot of fun working with our friends as a team. Even though we were still working on the house, with all Glahan's friends around him, I think he felt the house was already a home. Mum wanted to make something personal for Glahan's family, so chose to make a sculpture of their dog, Bangkor. Being surrounded by mysterious rocky mountains gave Emily the idea to paint 4 elemental dragons: earth, fire, water and air. Emily got all her 4 paintings started and planned to finish them off when she got back home again. Kwan's little sculpture really looked like Bangkor and she thought she would show it to him, but we didn't expect his reaction. After school, Che and Suang took Emily to swim in the river. Then they went off together in search of papayas to make into a papaya salad. Bua taught Emily how to make it. The ingredients are garlic, chilies, roasted peanuts, tomatoes, palm sugar, long beans, fish sauce, lime juice and strips of crunchy unripe green papaya. As we needed to head home the next day, we walked to Glahan's father's house to pay him a visit. Chin worked on Glahan's house 14 hours each day, which is hard to do in Thailand's tropical climate. We stopped to catch our breath at a restaurant on the River Kwai, near the bridge, before the long drive back home to Bangkok. On the journey home, Kwan was looking forward to working on Bangkor's sculpture, and Emily was excited to finish her elemental dragon paintings. Kwan made lots of pencil sketches of Bangkor to help her finish the detail on her sculpture. Then she made a mould of the clay in silicon so she could make the sculpture durable in resin. Glahan and Suang came to Bangkok to stay with us. It was the first time Suang had helped make a mould for a sculpture, and he seemed to enjoy it. Emily sees her mum make sculptures next to her each day, and she started to make sculptures too, and mum's teaching her all the different stages. Emily is discovering making things in 3D is quite different from drawing and painting in 2D. From the mould, Mum made a number of sculptures of Bangkor. One for Emily, one for herself, and one for me, as we all love dogs. By coincidence, just as Kwan finished her sculpture of Bangkor, Emily finished her 4 elemental dragon paintings. We wondered what the model himself would think of his portrait. When the cement was dry, we gave the walls a coat of paint. We started with a special undercoat in white made for cement walls. Boer had chosen a pinkish natural earth colour for the walls. It's a traditional practice in the village to paint the houses the same colour inside as out. It's the rainy season in Thailand, and we've had a lot of rain. The roads have turned from rock-hard red sun-baked earth to slushy, slippery, soft mud. Emily made the most of every muddy moment.
I'm doing a spa.
When we travel, we sometimes take an electric piano with us. When we play outdoors, we power it with a 12-volt motorbike battery. That means we can enjoy our piano lessons and be outdoors in nature at the same time. In the daylight, we could see the house was starting to take shape. 7 o'clock is the time for Che and Suang to go to school. In the village, everyone has an outside toilet and shower. There's no water other than rainwater or water from a well. Glahan dug a number of wells at the back of his house and eventually found water, which he can pump to his house when he needs it. In Thailand, the countryside bathrooms that depend on water from wells are designed differently to those in cities. To get washed, you simply scoop bowls of water from the tank and throw them over yourself. Cold water showers really wake you up in the morning. During the pandemic, we discovered the only person in the village that plays piano had moved away. So we had an idea. Suang is musical. He plays guitar and drums very well. So during his school holidays, he came to our house in Bangkok and began piano lessons. Glahan's house was almost finished. They didn't own any furniture and it was on our mind. Their plan was to simply sit, sleep, and eat on the floor. Then 2 unexpected things happened. My sculpture of Nina Simone, which was in France, had a buyer and was shipped to the USA to be displayed in a museum being built in Tryon, North Carolina, Nina Simone's hometown. Talk about good timing. Emily's friend Betty Bennett, the owner of Apogee in the USA, has been encouraging Emily so much with music, recording and art these past few years. Betty took an interest in what we were doing and made a big donation to Glahan's House Project. Miracles do happen. That changed everything. We knew the size of every room, so we set to work, but we didn't tell them. We wanted to keep it a surprise. During the time we were helping Glahan with his house, we got to know his friend Somchai. Somchai lives in a little bamboo house with his family, and his passion is for music. Glahan told us Somchai likes to sing with his wife, but his guitar got broken many years ago, so he hasn't been able to play since. One evening, Somchai came by to see Glahan and we asked him if he'd like to play Quant's guitar, which he did. It made him feel really happy. Somchai burned the candle at both ends and had tiled the floor in Che and Sawang's room. We ordered the things that he needed that had run out, like sand and cement, as we planned another trip to Glahan's village with Chin to help finish tile the floors in one go. It was especially important as Chin had estimated the time it would take to finish the floors, and we'd arranged the furniture to be delivered a day later. As the house was almost finished, the final jobs became slower and calmer. Emily wanted to learn how to tile a floor and help Chin, so he taught her. Emily learned that you need to use a special type of cement, and it's got to be mixed just right, not too dry, so the tiles stick to it and don't come loose. The tiles need to be straight and all the same height from the floor, and to check with the spirit level. Up to now, the floor has been concrete and dusty. The tiles suddenly made the house feel more like a home. We waited for the cement to dry, and late evening, Chin told us we could walk around the room. The white paint had run out, so we brought a tub from Bangkok with us and finished painting the kitchen. After all the hard work, we took some time to relax. Emily did a bit of gardening with Bua, and we had some daddy-daughter time collecting stones. I brought some wood stain with us and I varnished the front doors as quickly as I could as the rain was on its way. On our mind was the delivery of furniture later that day. We imagined, due to the rain, the wheels of a heavy lorry might sink into the muddy roads and get stuck somewhere along the way. So Emily and Chin tried to flatten the mud as best they could. The furniture truck was due to set off early that day, and we knew it must have been on its way, but as there was no phone signal in the village, they knew they couldn't contact us. We told Bua we would go to Elephant's World soon with a piano, and to keep the surprise, we told her a truck would drop the piano off for us in the afternoon. So Bua thought that was what we were waiting for. But as soon as the truck was opened at the back, Emily seemed just as excited as Bua, and it had been hard for her to keep the secret all these weeks. The furniture movers were wonderful. They'd given it some thought and split the delivery into 2 smaller vans in case the roads were unpassable due to the rain. And after a long day of driving, they headed back to Bangkok in the rainy night. They seemed to have enjoyed the surprise they gave the family as much as they did. Chin is one of our best friends in Bangkok. He came to work in the city many years ago and comes from a poor rural family. Chin works full-time for the department that keeps the canals clean and has worked all the hours of his free time building for local people so he could put his 2 daughters through college. Chin's always cheerful and makes everyone smile around him. It's one of his gifts and he probably isn't even aware of it. Che and Sawang had been on a school trip, so hadn't seen their room yet. And Kwan gave Bua something to put in her new cupboard. We knew Glahan wanted to know what it feels like to have a home where you can invite family and friends. So, as the house was finished, he invited Kwan's mother and our driver friend, Mon, who Glahan had known for years from our projects at Elephant's World together. Che and Swang are Emily's best friends. Even though they are older than her, it doesn't seem to make a difference. In Glahans village, people live without the internet, so their lives are completely different to the people around us in the city. They seem more at peace and have a deep love of nature. They know how to live a happy life with what seems very little to some, but to others, they are so rich in many other ways. Glahan seemed very happy to finally know what it felt like to be able to open his home and offer hospitality to his friends. Bye-bye, Ma. Bye-bye.
สนุกมากกาญจนบุรี
Okay. Now, a few words from Emily.
I know I'm growing up in a nice home with my parents, and when I look around me here in Thailand, I know I'm lucky and that a home is not something to take for granted at all. Finally, I feel so happy my friends have a home of their own too. No matter what happens or the hardships they have to endure in Thailand in the future, they will always have a roof over their heads. Glahan arrived with his family in Thailand stateless as Karen refugees. And now they have a little corner of paradise they can call home.
It rained so much, day and night. Our minibus sank into the mud, and by the time we had to leave, it wasn't that easy to get going. Thankfully, Glahan had a friend with a tractor that had helped make the bathroom, and he came to the rescue. We made our way back home. We want to say a big thank you to Ernest Bittner at Forik, Vienna, Betty Bennett at Apogee Digital in the USA, our Patreon patrons, and to those that watch our videos and put up with those pesky ads. Thanks to you, Glahan's family have a little corner of paradise called home.